What are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz is us. Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome to Closing Gap Podcast, where we tell you the truth about black wealth. I am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and the owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbur Hamilton. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, blessed and highly favored.
Yes, sir. That's always great to hear. You're tuned in to another righteous and holy episode today. And today we're going to entitle this episode, Bulk Up and Max Out. Bulk Up and Max Out. You need to stack more, right? You need to acquire more. You need to do more so that you can achieve more, right? So the more you get, the more achievement you can have. So we want you to bulk up and max out. Bulking up is just simply saying, hey, I'm going to acquire more knowledge. I'm going to acquire more in my finances. I'm going to acquire more skills on my career, right? I'm going to stop slacking in the things that I have the capability to do. And too many times we myself included, right? Slacking in some things that I could be getting done. I could definitely have more. I could definitely be doing more. I'm not maximizing my potential. I'm not maximizing the moment. I'm not taking advantage of the momentum that is being created. And so that's what we want to do. And doing that, I believe that builds up better fortitude, you know what I'm saying, within us as well. We were talking earlier about, making that first step in exercising.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you think about it like, how do you feel getting started?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we get started is always the roughest part. But, like I say, the great thing, once you do get started and you do get that body moving, they always say, obviously, emotion stays in motion. Mm-hmm. And I want to stay in motion for a long time. Yeah. And I want the Lord to keep it here for a long time. So I got to do my part. Yeah. I got to do my part of bulking up and then, maxing out. And maxing out is simply, in my estimation, is exerting the effort based on the work that you've done. Is that so we can save, like I said, we can stack those days, we can acquire that knowledge and that information. But at some point in time, we got to take that next step and put forth that effort to actually max out. Yeah. And maxing out is tough. Mm-hmm. It ain't, I've been up under that bench press before. Mm-hmm. When we had max day when I was playing football and, we trained all summer, right before the season, we'd have max out day to see where we at. We'd have, where we started at the beginning of the summer and where we ended. And we had, when I was in college, there was a rule, that we had an understanding between linemen. Mm-hmm. It was, if you didn't max at least 400 pounds, then you couldn't play. Mm-hmm. You had to be bench pressing at least 400 pounds. That was our minimum. If you wanted to be a starter on our offensive line, that was a minimum. You had to be benching 400 pounds. And, I remember, of course, luckily I had acquired that goal, prior, but we didn't stop there. We wanted to set new goals, and we had some teammates that bench press 500 pounds. Now I can say I strive for that goal. Yeah. But I didn't quite hit the mark. I think I landed at 485 was my max out. So I got close to that goal of 500 pounds, but never quite hit that goal. But I maxed out. I got everything I could out of the work that was being put in, and maxing out, it takes something out of you, but luckily I have put enough in me to help me to be able to sustain myself so I could be proud of my 485 that I did get up under that bench. Yeah. So I understand kind of the recipe, for success, so to speak. We talk about it all the time. And the biggest thing that helped me get close to that goal was that, I had a plan. Mm-hmm. We started beginning of summer, we had a workout plan. Mm-hmm. And coach said, look, this is what we're going to do. And these are the steps that we got to take to help you get as close to that goal of maxing out as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. Now, you got to follow these steps.
That's right.
Now, I had to do some things on my own. I had to make sure I rested. Mm-hmm. I had to make sure I recovered. Mm-hmm. I had to make sure that I was, consistent in my workout. I had to make sure I wasn't cheating in my workouts. I wasn't skipping sets in that workout. to make sure that when Max Day came, I was able to put forth my best effort. Because we all have those days where we in the weight room, and it was time to work out, or it's time to study, or it's time to go that extra mile and prepare yourself, for what's to come, and we don't feel like doing it. We had a bad day because something didn't go our way.
Yeah.
We got an unexpected bill in the mail.
Yeah.
We got some bad news from a family member, a coworker, or we just, feeling a little down, feeling a little under the weather, not feeling like ourselves. But guess what? Even in those days, we got to keep pressing forward, and we got to keep bulking up and keep putting on and keep getting on a good foot to make sure that when Max Day comes, because all Max Day is a reflection of the work that's been put in over time. And I think if we approached every day that way and everything that way, we can get a lot more out of what we're doing on this lifetime.
Yeah, that's good. So we want to try to get everybody to start putting more work in, right? We're not trying to get you to max out now, but we want you to have that mindset, like Wilbur just said, that, hey, Max Day is coming, right? And everybody has a different potential.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you said, you weren't quite able to get to that 500.
Absolutely.
Right? But that did not hinder you from being on the field, doing an excellent job, being a leader in that, on the team in that way. And so we want everybody to know that, hey, your max may not be your neighbor's max. My max may not be Wilbur's max. Wilbur's max is not my max, but all of us have a max. And so are you maxing out on you? Are you doing everything that you have the capabilities of doing, right? We also have various entrepreneurial goals. We have various career goals. We had different working in different areas, and we're studying different areas, and each one has, different systems that you have to abide by and work through. So whatever the system is that you're working in, are you willing to bulk up in that system? When we say bulk up in that system, meaning that are you willing to acquire every single solitary knowledge base and resource for that area? I'm gonna bring our cameraman in without bringing him in a little bit, right?
Okay.
He was talking about how within his field he does an excellent job for us, with every podcast that he shoots, right? But he had the opportunity to learn something new. And when he came across that opportunity to learn something new, he took full advantage of it.
Yes.
And so that's what we're talking about when we say bulk up. When an opportunity comes across your path, do you let it pass by or do you take advantage of it at that moment? That's what it means by bulking up. A lot of times we like to talk about acquiring a lot. We like to talk about what I am going to do. All right. Well, you've talked about what you're going to do. You've listened to us talking about putting a plan in place, writing it down and making it plain. But now here comes the question. Are you running with it? Right? There's no worse thing than somebody to hand you the baton in the race, or to hand you the ball on the football field, or to pass you the ball on the basketball court, right? Or to hand you the clippers and say, cut the hair, or to hand you my finances and say, hey, I need you to manage this for me, right? And then when I hand it to you, you do nothing with it.
You fumble it.
You fumble it, right? You drop it. You fail to take advantage of that opportunity. That is where you are not bulking up, right? You're waning in the opportunity. And so we want you to bulk up. We want you to have practical ways to that, not only in your finances, but also in your faith. We always like to root and ground things in faith and finance and faith, because we not only want you to have faith building strategies, but we want you to have wealth building strategies, because we believe that they coincide together. Because God is not absent in anything that we do. God is present in everything that we do. We all are made in the image of God, and therefore God is the sovereign, omnipotent one that has his hand and his direction upon us. Now, sometimes we get out of line, right? And God tries to get us back in line.
Absolutely.
And then we come here at Closing the Gap to be the ones to try to be a voice of reason, to be your two voices of conscience. We're not on the separate sides of your shoulders either. We're on the same side, all right? We're on the side of the Lord, right?
Absolutely.
We're trying to keep our halos, so to speak, intact. And so we want you to have good practical ways to build your wealth, and also for your faith as well. Before we move forward, I want to give everybody our anchor verse for today out of Acts chapter 4 and verse 34. It says, "Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the prices of the things that were sold." In Acts is where the community began to join together around the fact that Jesus had taught. The disciples are continually to go out and spread the gospel now that Jesus has risen from the dead, but then now he is ascended into heaven. Now the community has to stick together, and they've taken the time to take care of one another. Each person is bulking up what they have while they are still staying connected with one another. And this verse tells us that nobody lacked anything. And so that's what we're talking about today, is when we bulk up to max out, is that you won't lack anything, nor will anybody around you lack anything. Why? Because we have enough to share. And when you have enough to share, then you end up taking care of everybody, not taking care of them in a way that, you're just giving away your things to people that don't care about them. But you realize that I'm able to assist somebody else to help them get out of the dire situation that they may be in, because all of us will, but have the potential to do great things. But the question is, are we willing to do it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, are we willing to put the work in? Have we been challenged to put the work in? And that challenge is a strong word, because most people don't like to be challenged. And I think that's one reason why, athletics is so pervasive in our society in all areas, in all ethnicities, because of what it teaches. Sports and football and basketball in particular, taught me how when I was knocked down to get back up. It taught me resiliency. It taught me commitment. It taught me hard work and dedication. It taught me teamwork. It taught me so many different things that helped me in life, because I had to prepare myself along the way to at some point in time max out. And I think this is a great topic that we're talking on right now, because as school is starting, we're getting ready for a new year. Parents, I want you to challenge your kids to max out. Challenge your kids to max out academically. Challenge your kids to max out athletically or scholastically, or if they're involved in any extracurricular activities or band or whatever it may be. Whatever their gift and talent and skills. And if they're not involved in something, challenge them to get involved in something.
Yeah, that's good.
Because, I've always heard the old adage of an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yes, sir.
So we want to make sure that, that idle time, doesn't create those idle thoughts that turn into negative actions. We want to make sure that, we're teaching them, because those things translate. Because maxing out, we're going to max out in life in a lot of different ways. You may be maxing out trying to buy a house. You may be maxing out trying to buy a car. You may be maxing out trying to raise your family and kids. There are many different ways we can max out. And there are a lot of areas that we have to push ourselves to be better at. You have to be better husbands, better fathers, better brothers, better sons, better friends, better coworkers, better leaders, better entrepreneurs. We all have to be better in every phase of life. So we're all constantly trying to max out, or we should be trying to max out. So I want to make sure that, we understand and that we put our best foot forward in every area of human endeavor.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're bulking up to max out at some particular point in time in the future in every area and phase of life. And it starts at home, and your kids need to see you bulking up and maxing out. And if they see you doing it and you being the best you could be on the job, if they see you being the best off the job, as far as putting the extra effort into raising them, being there for them, communicating with them, being active in the church with them, they're going to see that.
Yeah.
So now, because they see mom and daddy bulking up, it's a lot easier for them to buy into
Right.
the attitude of, well, guess what? It's time for me to start bulking up a little bit too. It's time for me to start preparing for those tests a little bit better than I did last year, where I would just wait till the day of or the night before, and I would try to cram a little bit, and I go in there and I take that test and just hope that everything is going to be okay. And we've all been there. We've all underprepared for different things in school at some particular point in time in my life, and we've all paid for it as well.
Yeah.
So we should have learned our lesson that it pays to bulk up on them studies and get ahead so you can max out on that test.
Yeah.
And you can get the best grade possible so you can put yourself in the best situation possible to create as many opportunities as you possibly can. Because the one thing I do know, when you max out and you max out well, somebody's going to see you maxing out. And that's where opportunities are presented.
Yeah.
That's where blessings are given. But if you ain't bulked up in preparation to max out, nobody's going to see that. Or they are going to see it, they're going to withhold that blessing. They're going to withhold that opportunity because they're saying, you know what, they're not quite ready just yet. I want to buy my son a car.
Yeah.
But you know what, right now, I don't see him bulking up and maxing out the way he needs to.
Right.
But he doesn't know on the other side of hard
Yeah.
is everything he desires. And that's what we got to get him to understand. And that's what we have to understand.
That's right. That's right.
Everything that we want in life is usually on the other side of hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to be willing to bulk up and max out. And once we go through that process of bulking up and maxing out, I think we can all look back and realize that, you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought. The only thing it did was make me better.
Yeah.
Now, it may have been a little painful on the way.
That's right.
I may have been a little tired. I may have been a little uncomfortable. But the feeling that you get from maxing out
Yeah.
supersedes the feeling that you had while you were going through that process.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I've reached that pinnacle, right? The euphoria I get, you know what I'm saying? It just gives me joy in my soul that, okay, I can actually achieve a goal when I set it and I actually do the work to achieve it, right? And that's why that feeling that once we get there, then it's like, man, all of that work and all of that pain that I went through has gone away because I reached this status at this point. And I think that's what it also happened within our community is that all of the struggles that our parents face, our foreparents face, with the various things that challenges that they face, redlining, lack of access to capital, predatory lending, right? We never played the victim. We always said, okay, this is the challenge that's set before me. So in order to get past it, I'm going to have to bulk up to be able to fight through it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to pray even more to God for God to give me the strength to press my way on through. And every time that we pray to God and continue to galvanize around one another, we end up being able to maximize on the opportunity that's in front of us. And that's such a great feeling, you know what I'm saying, that you can go through painful situations, but realize that the painful situations are just making you stronger. Those are the bulking stages, when we work hard financially, when we work hard in the community. That is what's going to get us to be able to maximize on the opportunity that we face. So remember that while we're on this journey, every day is a new opportunity for success. And so we're going to continue to talk about this as we move forward, bulking up and maxing out so that we can become the community that we need, not only for ourselves, but for one another as well.
Well, absolutely. And one thing I want to, right before we come back, is the two things that were, I think, probably the most important in our community that we haven't been bulking up on, that we need to do a better job bulking up in: prayer and education. We were bulking up in preparation to max out. And right now today, I don't think we're doing enough of the same. Right back after this break.
Yes. Welcome back to Closing Gap Podcast, Truth About Black Wealth, and we're talking about bulking up and maxing out. Wilbert, as we just close out that first segment, you gave the people the two things that have been probably the most challenging within the community is we're not bulking up and maxing out in our prayer life and in education. So speak to the people a little further. First, let's go into the prayer life. Why did you just make that statement?
Well, I watch people walk around with so much despair now. It feels like when you see, our communities and they have a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness. Those are things that we didn't have, years ago in those previous generations. As hopeless as our parents and grandparents probably could have felt, they always maintain faith and a positive outlook on what was to come. Because they knew he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Like that song came from a real place. That song was sung with emotion that I just don't feel anymore. For whatever reason, we have all become a little bit more self-absorbed. It feels like our communities are not on the same page as much. It feels like, there's a lack of prayer and faith in what God can do. I hear people say, even, people that look like me, and man, why should I, why should I vote Democrat? Or why, I should just look out for me. I'm doing well. I'm successful. I should just vote for my interests. Well, when did we ever do anything for ourselves before? Everything that our great-great-grandparents and grandparents and everything that they did was for our future. My grandparents were doing things for my parents. My parents were doing things for me. So at what point in time did we change up and switch up and say, you know what, I'm no longer going to bulk up and max out for the future. I'm going to work and I'm just going to do what I want to do in my present, moving as I see fit, doing what it is that I want to do. And the biggest thing that I hear all the time is what I want, what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to go. What happened to where are we going? What are we doing? How are we going to get there? Because, I had a saying back in the day, my friends would always say, man, ain't no fun if the homie can't have nothing. We want to enjoy this thing together. We want to get together. We want to have, we want to travel on vacation together. I want to be able to go on vacation and have friends and family that can go with me.
That's right.
I don't want to just be there by myself all the time. Every now and then we all want to break and we want to get away and everything, but you want to be able to move and travel with people that are of like mind, like situation, like circumstances, and like background. It ain't always about you anymore. And nowadays we become so self-absorbed and so selfish in so many different ways that we've lost sight on, in my opinion, what the bigger picture is. Yeah. And the bigger picture is creating a better future for our children and for our kids. You know, we all, you know, if we say we believe in Christ and we believe that a righteous man leaves inheritance to his children's children. Yeah. Well, if you believe that, are you exercising that? Are you thinking that way? Are you planning and preparing that way? Are you bulking up and maxing out thinking about your kids? Or are you bulking up and maxing out thinking about just you? Yeah. You know, now we all have our own responsibilities day to day that we have to handle, we have to maintain. But one thing I've learned in my preparation in my 43 years of life that the Lord has blessed me with so far is that if I'm bulking up and maxing out to accomplish a goal, God has always given me more than what I originally asked for. Yeah. I've learned that, guess what? My dreams ain't been big enough. I need to dream bigger. I need to go further. I need to ask God for more. Why am I shortchanging God? Why am I limiting what God can do and saying, well, Lord, I just want a degree. No, Lord, I want to have this degree. I want to be the best at this. I want to utilize this gift to the best of your will and the best of my capabilities that you have blessed me with. I want to not get a house. I want to get the house that you would want me to have. Right. Because the house that I want and the house that you want me to have may be two totally different things. I may be shooting for a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and you may be saying, well, I want to give you an 8-bedroom, 6.5 bath. Yeah. You know, I may be shooting for 4,000 square feet. He said, man, if you do what I told you to do, I'm going to give you 10. Why are we shortchanging what God can do? Because he's already told us what he's going to do if we do what we're supposed to. That's right. He told us, I'm going to open up a window and pour you out a blessing. You won't have room enough to receive. He's told me all these things. So if he's told me, why am I putting the limitations on God? And we're putting limitations on God because we put limitations on ourselves. We're not prepared to max out. We're not prepared to put in the work to bulk up because we all want to work according to our own comforts. You know, we don't want to put in the kind of work that's going to be painful and almost treacherous in this field. I remember going through workouts when I was young, and I'm like, Lord, if I can just make it to the end, you know, I just want to survive the workout. But then as I grew up, I realized I had the wrong mindset. My mindset shouldn't have been just trying to survive that workout. My mindset should have been, I need to push and thrive through this workout. Yeah. I'm getting better in this workout. Throw everything you can at me. I'm going to keep coming because I know God ain't going to let me fail. He's going to give me what I need to finish this race. That's right. Or guess what? He wouldn't have let me start the race if I wasn't going to finish it. So me knowing that and having that understanding, it allows me now to let's dream a little bigger. Let's go a little further. You know, let me not put my own individual limitations, my own lack of work and preparation on God, because when we start dreaming small, it's because we are working little.
Man. So that's the importance of the prayer life, right? You need to bulk up your prayer life. And that's so key because even in our anchor text for today, our focus text for today of Acts chapter 4 and verse 34, also around that text, it talks about that, right? That this was a result. What happened here in this text in the book of Acts was a result of the prayer life of the people, not just the one person, but of the people. So that's key, Wilbert, is that we as a community must gather around and pray together more, right? So we need to, first of all, have a prayer life personally, right? Because you need to exercise yourself, right? Before you can really get on the team and you can exercise and be the lineman that you were for the team and make the contribution to the team, you needed to have that focus yourself. Then when you came to team workouts, you were able to be an inspiration and be inspired. That there was some on the team that they said, man, you know what? I like Wilbur's work ethic, right? And then there were also some on the team that you said, hey, I like their work ethic, right? That's what happens even when we start praying personally, that our prayer life at home then extends outside of our own doors. And then once we begin to have a community of prayer, we get stronger. And then in that community of prayer, God begins to open up that window of heaven and pour us out a blessing that we don't have room enough to receive. And that's what happens in the text in the book of Acts. Nobody lacked anything. That's what the text says. It says, neither was there any among them that lacked. For whoever owned land, whoever owned houses, they brought the price of the things that were sold to take care of everybody else. So nobody was without, right? They laid it at the feet of the elders so that the elders could take care of the community. So that's important that we continue to bulk up in prayer, continue to call on God, because God is the one that provides all that we have. It's here in the text, in the book of Acts of what we're reading. If you read chapter 4 and go on into chapter 5 of Acts, you will see this community that is based in God and that depends on one another through God, right? So that's what we want you to do. Bulk up in your prayer life that you can continuously be taken care of, but not only be taken care of, but that you can also take care of everybody that is around you. So that's bulking up in that prayer life, Wilbur. So you also said education. All right. Education, meaning that the knowledge base that we acquire, and too many times we play victim and say, nobody taught me, nobody mentored me, right? And I like what you said earlier about even in the prayer life that our ancestors, our foreparents, they didn't cry about what they didn't have. They didn't cry about, somebody standing at the door of educational institutions to try to stop them from entering in. No, they found a way to fight through it. And that's the type of resolve that we need now, is a resolve in prayer and a resolve to fight through to gain the educational knowledge that we need today.
Yes.
Right? Education. And too many times, Will, I think also what happens with education is people feel like the only education that you get is from a college. Right? Now, we are going to promote going to college. Trust us. All right? We promote that. But what we want you to understand is there are many levels of becoming educated.
Absolutely.
Right? You can sit down and study with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. Even if you are willing to just read the books on your own, you can be educated.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about making the sacrifice. It's about the intention. I had a discussion in a barbershop that myself, being a barber and having a degree in language arts education and having a master's of divinity, with for my pastoral calling, right? That's 3 different works, 3 different, saying entities, right? That I grew up couldn't have. So my father impressed upon me, hey, get licensed in that, right? So got licensed in that. Also said, hey, go to college, get the education. So I learned, and went to college and became, certified teacher. But then also with the ministry call, and then, okay, all right, let's go and let's learn a little more in that. So educating myself in every single facet of who I am and who God has made me to be is key for us. I had to bulk up. It was challenging, right? I was used to doing things my way, couldn't have. Learning, when I was growing up, just doing what I wanted to do. But then having to read the book and learn the proper way was a challenge. It was painful, right? Going to college, it was rough, right? It was some days I wanted to just give up. I wanted to go home, right? And then when I started cutting hair and making money while I was, in school, I didn't want to finish college. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, what's the use, right? I'm making the money. Isn't that the goal? But then I had to realize that the goal wasn't just the money. The goal was the knowledge, because knowledge is the power that ends up being able to fuel you to be able to take action. And that's what sometimes we fail to remember is that when that old statement of knowledge is power, people like, nah, I don't really believe that, because they feel like, okay, just when I go get my degree, then somebody just supposed to give me a job. Like, no, the knowledge is the power, because that gives you the power to go and do what you need to do, because now you've unlocked your mind and you should be able to have more focus and be able to see some things that now I've bulked up my mental capacity, that now I'm not waiting on somebody to come and tell me what to do. But now that my mind is unlocked, I'm going and I'm praying and I'm asking God, now direct me to the place that I need to go.
Yes, but part of the problem is, are they having a conversation with God while they're doing the bulking? See, they go hand in hand. See, I gotta make sure I'm praying while I'm going through school.
Yeah.
And if you was like me, I was praying as I was going through school, because Lord, I need some help. Lord, help me to make it through this economics class. Lord, help me to make it through this finance class, this forecasting class. I need some assistance right now to make sure that I can not only book up and max out to pass this test that I got coming up next week.
Yeah.
So, that was essential. And a lot of times we forget that, and we allow our day-to-day lives and things that are going on around us to pull us away and separate us and separate one from the other. When really they all work together. Because see, as you acquire that education and you're acquiring information, and if you're having that prayer life and you're communicating with God, that's when God will start to talk to you in a different language. So that's when he's starting to talk to you in your language. And I think everybody has their own language, because everybody has their own lane.
Yeah.
So the way God talked to me may not be the same way he talked to you.
That's a fact.
But I can promise he gonna talk to you if you talking to him. So because I'm on that path of bulking up in whatever area or specialty I'm working on this time, whether it be if I'm in school, my education, in my world, being a financial advisor, in your world, being a barber, being a pastor, being an entrepreneur, in our, cameraman's world, being an editor, and being a creative director, and being a marketer, and all those different things. We're all having to bulk up.
Yeah.
But if we're bulking up in that way, and also bulking up in our prayer life, those two go hand in hand, and then there comes this thing called revelation.
Come on with it.
See, I happened to walk that path a little bit, and I learned as I started to acquire more knowledge
Yes, sir.
in my particular field of study, and as I was growing myself as an advisor, and also growing myself spiritually, that one morning I woke up and those two converged, they met. And that's what God said, I want you to teach people how to create generational wealth. So when I was bulking up in two different ways, I had a max out moment.
Yeah.
And that max out moment created some passion. So we talked about that last time, how that passion is going to produce the profit. Now, the only way that passion going to produce the profit if we bulk up and max out. And then as we've maxed out, the max out is now produced enough passion to create a consistent profit for me. So that's where we have to be in lockstep and key at understanding you can't have one without the other. You can have the education, and it can be education in a lot of different ways, because it ain't just going to school. It could be trade school.
Gotcha.
It can be education as a plumber, education as an electrician, as a welder. And that prayer life may lead you to a person that can mentor you, where you don't just stop at looking for a job of being an electrician or a plumber or a welder, that God calls you to and gives you the relationships to start your own electrical company, your own plumbing company, your own company as a welder, and all these different things. So, we don't want to limit what God can do. And unfortunately, I feel like we've been limiting what God can do by our lack of. But one thing that I know education does, and why we do believe in education, is education unlocks more and more dreams. So as you acquire more information, more knowledge, as you read more, you start to have more vivid dreams, because you're bringing in more information. You're bringing in more concepts and ideas. You're interpreting things in a different way. I can read the scripture now. And I read that same scripture 10 years ago, but it don't say the same thing to me today as it did yesterday, because I've grown And my perspective has continued to evolve and continue to change, but it's also based on my relationship. You know, the relationship with God has grown.
Yeah.
It's developed. He's continued to educate me and empower me and continues to help drive that passion to motivate me. And that same verse can have a new meaning.
Yeah.
It has a new design. So when I thought that God said, hey, we're going to take care of this community and we're going to take care of that community. But now I know what community he actually talking about.
What is it?
He talking about his community.
That's it.
You know, he talking about his community.
Yeah.
Because my community was just me and my house.
Yeah.
That's the community that I originally started with. And then I thought it was, well, he just want me to take care of the black community. And then coming to understand that God said his community. But I was on the process of bulking up and I had not maxed out. And because I was in the process of bulking up, that dream and that vision is taking on new meaning. And I now hear things that I didn't hear before. And I can listen to that same message that he gave me. He said, I want you to teach my community how to create generational wealth. I had limited his community to what I thought my community was. I want you to do the same. Don't limit yourself. Allow God to use you. And if you allow him to use you, he'll move you. See you back after this break.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Closing Gap Podcast, Truth About Black Wealth, and you are tuned in to another righteous and holy episode where we are talking about bulking up and maxing out. I, of course, am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and the owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. So, Wilbert, as we've been talking about this bulking up, maxing out, from a business and financial standpoint, you said that God showed you that what you thought originally is not exactly what he desired. So as you continue to bulk up, God began to take you through different phases and has grown you to see that, all right, yes, your view was one thing when you were at this stage, but now he's opened you up to see things in a greater way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's excellent, because I think once when all of us decide to start bulking up in our prayer lives, start bulking up in our education, we begin to grow and begin to gain a greater understanding, and we're able to hear God more clearly, as you stated. And when we're able to hear God more clearly, then now God begins to lead us in some new paths of righteousness. And that's what I hear you saying, is that God is leading you into a new path of righteousness, that where you had maxed out, right? Now God is getting ready to bulk you up in a different place.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we want everybody to realize, is that as you bulk up and max out, that it is a constant cycle. It never ends, right? If you're willing to participate in it, if you're willing to stay consistent in it, it never stops, right? That while today you may be at the 300-pound stage, but tomorrow you'll be at 305, right? Or in 2 weeks, you'll be at 310, whatever the case may be. You may be at 10 clients in your business, but if you continue to pray and educate yourself, then you'll bulk up from 10 clients to 15, from 15 to 25, right? God will continuously open up that window of heaven, pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. And that's why it's important for us to take this lesson, bulk up, max out, and realize that you do it best when you're in a community with others. And I believe that's why it's important to be in a church, because throughout the history of life, when it comes to God, as you said, Wilbur, God puts us in a community of one another, not just in the living community, but then where we live, but also where we worship him. Because the place that we worship God should, number one, be within ourselves, then within our homes, then within that community that we live in. But then we go into a house of God, which we call here a church, and begin to worship with one another, and begin to gain a better understanding of God, and then also be able to lead others to gain a greater understanding of God and have a relationship with God. Number one, because we have a relationship with one another. And when I see God in you, I desire to have God within me. And I began to ask you, how did you garner that relationship? And you begin to explain to me, and then you begin to show that, okay, you worship at this place. And when I see you worshiping there, I want to come and worship there with you too. Because I see the light of God shining within you. And that's what we want our people to bulk up and max out. But if you've been a 10 volted watt light, then now we want to get you up to 20. We want to get you up to 30, 40, whatever the wattage is, right? We want you to get so bright that at some point you become an LED light, right? And that only needs recharging from your batteries through reading the word of God and praying and being around other lights, that we can shine so bright that we cast out all evil and we cast out all darkness. Because that's what we strive to do here at Closing the Gap Podcast. We strive to be the light in the community so that you can see God. And then by seeing God, then you begin to manage your finances in a greater way. So not only do we want you to bulk up in your prayer life, bulk up in education, but also we want you to bulk up on your finances so that you can max out. And so with that being said, what are some ways that within our finances that God has blessed each one of us with? What would be the number one thing from a financial advisor that you would tell us when we use the principle of bulking up and maxing out?
The biggest thing we got to start is we got to know where we got to figure out where we can go. You know, that's rule first and foremost. So, you know, it comes back to the ugly word that none of us like to hear, which is budget. You know, we got to write it down and make it plain. We got to know the income versus the expenses. We got to understand what's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, we got to know what we're working with. So that's always first and foremost. And that is probably the biggest issue that we do have in our community when it comes to financial preparedness and financial stewardship. It's just a budget. It's knowing that and understanding that. And then once we know that and have that, now comes the harder part of sticking to it. You know, it's easy. You know, it's not easy to write it down, but it's, you know, once you write it down and you know what it is, now you got to stick to it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, life always be lifing. You know, it's always something. Of course, you know, it's, you know, we're driving by and like, man, that Starbucks look good. I'm driving by and, man, them kids say, man, Chick-fil-A sure smell good right about now. There's always those things that are happening. There's always you're driving and all of a sudden, you know, I remember just last week, I drove to Huntsville. And on my way to Huntsville, when I was almost there, I saw the check engine light come on my car. And I said, Lord, I don't need this right now. I don't want to have this. I don't know what's going on. But Lord, just make it okay. Just let me make it to my destination, number one. And then let me make it back home, number two. That's all I'm hoping for at this time. And let it not be something too major.
Yeah.
Let it help, maybe be something that's under warranty, if anything. And I got there and I cut my car off and I made it safely to my destination. And I was there working all day long. And I arrived about 12 noon and I'm leaving this about 6:30 p.m. And I'm walking to the car and I'm saying, Lord, just let it be okay. Let me make it home safely.
Yeah.
And I cut the car on and the check engine light was no longer on. And I said, thank you, Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I said, hallelujah, as my son would say. No check engine light was on. So I said, well, Lord, just help me make it home. You know, I'm looking at my gauges. I'm looking to make sure the car ain't running hot, ain't nothing going on. And everything just running smooth. And I was taking my time. I'm going 70 on the interstate. I'm not going over the speed limit. I'm going 70 the whole way, just hoping to prepare that, Lord, hey, hopefully nothing goes wrong. I don't want to see that light come back on. And I made it all the way back home with no check engine light on. And, you know, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm scared to go crank that car today. But he allowed me to make it there. That was I needed some faith in that moment. You know, I asked the faith that was bigger than the size of a mustard seed to help me sustain myself and help me make it back. But, you know, that's why I have to budget. That's why I have to have the next step, which is that emergency savings.
Yeah.
Because things like that are going to happen. You know, life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. You know, I got kids, so, you know, we got kids that need uniforms. You know, school is coming back, so they need new folders and pens and pencils and paper and glue and all these different things that come. They need something that need uniforms, and I need money for field trips. And, you know, I don't understand this. When I was growing up, we ain't had to have no money for field trips.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have that many, but we didn't have to have money. But now it's money for field trips. It's the money for school lunch, and now they got afternoon snack, and now they got, you know, they got morning breakfast. And I'm like, man, I come from a place where we had free lunch. We had free lunch.
Yeah.
You know, we had free breakfast. You know, maybe we weren't as fortunate as maybe some of as they are.
Hey, you bulked up your finances,
Hey,
man.
we woke up a little bit, you know. But it's a blessing to be in a position where now we can do those things.
That's right.
But those things are happening.
That's true.
You know, new school clothes. Well, Dad, I grabbed my shoes from last year. I can't wear them no more. Well, you know what? I got a hole in the ones from last year. Okay, it's school clothes, it's school shoes. And so those emergency funds have to be there. I have to have budgeting saved. You know, I have to have some debt management.
Yeah.
You know, that is a skill that you have to have and have to understand and how to handle debt. And I would tell people, debt is not always a bad thing. But having too much of a bad thing cannot be a good thing. So we want to make sure that we don't have too much of the wrong kind of debt. Mortgage debt is okay. We understand if you have to have a car loan because you got to get from point A to point B to take care of yourself. But we don't want to take the time right now on going back to school shopping and run up the credit card bill buying, you know, shoes and clothes and things that the kids are just going to run out of in a couple weeks. You know, don't go over and beyond. You know, now I buy my sons 2 pair of school shoes. I buy my black pair, I buy my gray pair. Them the only shoes they go wear to school. That's it. I ain't gonna buy all the other shoes, all the Jordans that come out, the exclusive, the retro 4s and the 11s and the 14 Ferrari Reds and all the different shoes they got. No. Them not school shoes. You know, you don't get to wear them to school because you ain't gonna take care of them. You know, see, when I was growing up, I would take an extra pair of shoes to school. And come time to go to PE, I would take my shoes off, and then I would go back. But see, they not as disciplined as I was. You know, because they have so many, they tend not to care as much. So they'll just run through them. So no, let me solve that right now. Let me just buy 2 pair. 1 pair of this and 1 pair, and those are your school shoes, and these are your school clothes, and this is what you're gonna wear from now until May, and this is gonna carry you through. So, but I've planned for that. Every year, I know that's going to come around. I know we're gonna have to buy new this and new that come time to go to school. So I budget that and I plan for that. You know, and after I've taken care of them, which is my first responsibility as a father, is making sure that they're taken care of and their needs are met. Now I have to do some investing for me and my future. I'm also investing for their future. But I always say my future first, because if I ain't got no future, then they definitely not gonna have one. So we always tell people, you got to make sure that you got a retirement plan, you have an income plan, you're gonna have sustainable income for the rest of your life, because that's the only way we can make sure that you're gonna be leaving something of value to them. Because if you don't take care of you, there will be no financial reward for them. You know, and I do believe a righteous man leave the inheritance to his children. We don't want this just to be all insurance proceeds that they get. We want to leave some investment money. We want to teach them how to invest along the way. You know, I'm saving and putting money away and now educating them on what is a stock, what is a bond, what is a mutual fund, what is a ETF. And parents, if you don't know, this is a great time for you to seek out help and contact us for a free consultation to just be educated on what the difference between a stock, bond, and a mutual fund is. Seek out access and information from a financial advisor to help get your budget in order if you don't have one. To show someone to help you lay out a plan and map it out, to help you save for those emergency funds. Because if you get someone to help you put the budget together, now we can figure out exactly how much you can afford to put into that emergency fund. Now we can help you figure out what is the best way to pay down this debt. Because we all have been through the times where we put probably a little bit too much on that credit card, and some things happened and got a little bit of, you know, outside of where we originally intended it to go. And life happens. Well, none of us are immune to it. But there's always a way back. We always tell people, you didn't make this bed overnight, you ain't gonna make it up overnight. So just take your time, but sit down and talk with someone that can help you formulate a plan around how to pay back that debt. What debt to pay back first? Most people have more than one credit card. Most people have 2 or 3. So guess what? We may want to look at which one has the highest interest rate. What are the different balances on those different cards and which one to attack first? We may pay the minimum on 2 cards and may pay off this other one a little bit faster. Then we start working on the other two. So, sitting down and getting that professional help is always key, because I guarantee you, if I'm in the gym trying to bulk up in preparation to max out, I can accomplish my goal a whole lot easier and probably a whole lot quicker if I got some professional help. If I got a trainer there with me, telling me exactly what exercises I need to do for exactly how much time and how much weight and how many reps, that will help me. So come max day, I can put forth my best effort. So understanding that and knowing that is the same thing with having a financial advisor. It's having a coach, having an accountability partner that can lay out the budget, create the investment plan, devise the investment strategy with making sure you're investing properly in your 401ks on the job, and hopefully putting together a retirement plan so you'll know when you get to those golden years, they can be truly golden. You can get to that time and you're not looking at those golden years as if they're a nightmare, because you can't retire and you can't go home because you haven't planned and prepared. So those things are key for our future success, and they're key for our kids' future success, because if we're not in a situation where we can take care of ourselves financially, how will we be able to be a blessing to them? Because we're all truly believers, and we're saying that, hey, a righteous man leaves an inheritance to his children. Well, have you planned to leave an inheritance to your children's children? Because guess what? We just talked about you leaving something to your kids. Not your kids. That's a whole other step. That's a whole other step of planning and preparation that we have to be doing to make sure and ensure that we're taking care of the next generations. And honestly, that is the difference between where other communities are and where we are as African Americans right now. They plan 2 generations ahead. We planning for today.
Wow. So that brings in the light, when we talk about bulking up and maxing out for all of those various financial situations that you just laid out, is the question then that raises for me is, are we seizing every opportunity that we face? Every opportunity, are we seizing the opportunity, man? Hearing what you said earlier about hearing the call of God, hearing God's voice, I believe will lead us to be able to seize every opportunity if we're listening and then obeying.
Yes.
See, there's one thing that you can hear some good advice. You can hear God lead you. You can hear Wilbert and Hamilton Wealth Advisors tell you a good plan and layout. You can hear all of that. You can hear the preacher tell you how you need to live to have a good relationship with God and what it is that God desires you to do, right? We have people go to counselors about their mental health right now, right? You can go talk to the person in mental health and they can give you all the advice that you need. You can go and talk to your trainer to exercise, right? And he gives you a plan, but do you listen? And when you listen, do you obey and do the practice? This is the point about bulking up to max out, is we can get all of the advice in the world that we need to live a successful life that is bulked up, where we have enough for ourselves and for others. But then the question then becomes, do we actually do those things that they advise us to do? And too many times I've come in contact with different persons that will begin to talk to me and tell me all the things that they need to do. But they will formulate those things in the form of a question and asking me, do you think I need to do such and such and such and such? Well, it's not what I think. It's the fact that you already know what it is that you need to do. And what they really demonstrate to me, Wilbert, is that they hear God talking, but they're too confused to discern whether it's truly God.
Yes.
So then they come to me, or somebody else that they know, and they ask them. And then, yes, I strive to give them the best advice possible, to let them know that what they are, to affirm what they are hearing. Because if it's, if that is the situation that they're in, then yes, that's what you need to do. Because oftentimes they don't tell us every single detail.
Yes.
Right. And I know you see that quite often in finances, that a person will come and tell you what they want to do with their finances, but you know, we like to keep part of our information hidden.
Absolutely.
We don't want you to know, you know what I'm saying, where the dirt that we swept up under the rug. We don't want to let you see, you know, that pile of clothes that we just threw over in the closet right then when you came over, right? We want to hide a few things, right? But when we hide things, what happens is we miss opportunities.
Absolutely.
We can't bulk up properly because we're hiding too many things. And when we hide things, those things end up becoming major obstacles for us to be able to max out. So as we get ready to close with it, I want to implore upon the people to remember that the verse that we share, Acts chapter 4 and verse 34, says that the people didn't lack anything within the community, that they shared what they had. Then we also want to implore you that you need to bulk up your prayer life, bulk up in talking to God, communicating with God, but then also bulk up your education. Whatever you're doing, study that, gain more knowledge in that, right? Talk to some other people about how you can become great at what it is that you do. And when you do that, then also it's going to produce more finances for you. Then as you get the more finances, go through those points that Wilbur said of budgeting, emergency fund, debt management, and investing so that you can have a retirement that will not only take care of this generation, but your children's children. And that is how we can bulk up and max out. Anything else you want to leave to them, Wilbur?
No, I think you said it all great. I want the people just continue to press forward, continue to understand that you're not alone. You know, and none of us are perfect. We all works in progress, but we all perfect in Christ. You know, just lean on him, you know, trust in him. And like I say, shoot for the stars and hopefully you land on the moon. If not, keep shooting.
Keep shooting.
See you next time.
Yes, indeed.